right, all right. I love it. I love it. I'm hailing all the way from Brantford.
Lord,
Yeah.
it's a whole journey, journey and a
I'm
half.
telling you. You know what? You get used to it after a while, but it's
Mhm.
definitely a commute. All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Could we just, everyone, let's just give a round of applause. We made it from our several places of travel. We're in the room, and I am so excited to be here, y'all. If this is your first time tuning in or joining in person, welcome. My name is Joel Reed. I'm the executive director here at SoundCheck, and we are a nonprofit organization that specializes in music and mentorship programs. And as our name suggests, sound check, that idea of preparation. And man, are we going to be getting ready today and preparing and getting all dialed in, because joining me is none other, the one and only, the queen of vibes. We've got Desarae in the house. Let's all celebrate
Hey,
and put our hands together for Desarae, who's
hey.
joining us in the house. And Desarae, I hope you're doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear. And listen, I'm excited, Desert. We're in for a treat today because, listen, you've got your keyboard set up. I know we're
Yeah.
doing some things technically in the back to
Yeah.
kind of get everything going and dialed in. But this is fun, man. This is going to be a good
Yeah,
day.
I'm excited.
Awesome. And for those that are joining us in the room, this is a first for us. I know you see some keyboards here in the room. This is going to be an interactive session. So today is not just going to be myself, not going to be just Desiree talking, but we're really going to have an opportunity to go deep and dig deeper. And that's why the keyboards are set up here for you, for those that are in the room. And we can't wait to just be playing around and getting all these amazing chord voicings. And of course, it's all about neo soul today. All right. So I'm excited. So Desiree, I've done a lot of talking here, man. I know I've done a bit of an intro, but do you want to just kind of formally introduce yourself to everyone? Maybe some folks are tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So my name is Desarae Dee, and I am an instrumental fusion artist, educator, producer, composer,
Awesome.
micro influencer, content creator. I wear a lot of hats.
I love it. I love it.
And today I get to function in, I guess, two out of those hats,
Okay.
as an artist, because I'll be performing a couple of songs
I
as
love
well,
that.
and then also operating in my teacher hat.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah, I've been playing for 28 years.
How much? I feel like every time you say that, it's still a shock to me. Oh my goodness.
28, yeah. And of course, I'll get, oh, but you look 28. I'm
Right?
like, I wish I was still 28. I'm actually older than that, but
Yep.
not going to reveal my age. Those who know, know.
Fair enough.
And yeah, I've been an artist for this, it will be 10 years for me.
Wow. 10 years.
10 years.
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Listen.
I'm excited to just,
Yeah.
share
To
some
share.
chords and
And
help
bef-
the people out,
Yeah,
Yeah.
And before we dig in, obviously you're in this really cool spaceship looking thing
Yes.
there, right?
Welcome to my spaceship.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Why don't we just do a line check? Let's just kind of hear how your board sounds and yeah.
Gotta check this one as well,
Yeah.
too, right? Because I got two. Make sure they're all,
Let's
go
go.
in.
I
a
got
little
my
quick
stank face on with that chord, man. Like that is right there, man.
Yeah.
It's sounding. How's it sounding, y'all? Sounding good to you? Awesome. I'm
That's
glad,
nice,
y'all.
yeah.
And I know we've got a bit of a setup here, and we're gonna try and pull up all these chords. Cause I'm sitting on the keyboard player. I'm a guitar player, but when I heard that there's a master class and we've got Desert in the house, I've got to put on my keyboard hat and try and get some of these chords under my fingertips.
You know what? I tell people all the time. I said anybody can learn, especially if you already play an instrument.
Absolutely.
Like guitar players, right? All you got to do is just transfer whatever I'm doing onto your fretboard.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So anybody can learn, even if you're a drummer.
I love it.
The drummers can learn, the bass players can learn, the keyboard players can learn.
I love it.
Guitar players can learn.
Listen, well, we're going to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
And so I know there's a really cool flow today because we're going to get some of the performance side and we're going to get some of the lesson side, right? And so I'm excited, but I think we want to start with on the performance side. Is that what I'm hearing? Because I know, like, after hearing all those chords and getting us all, like, antsy, and it's like, man, I got to hear, and then we can break it down and get into some other stuff.
Sure.
Does that work?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to perform this first song that I wrote during the pandemic. It's called Be Original.
Awesome.
And as the title suggests, be original, right?
Original.
It's all about being yourself. Being true to who you are. It's something that I stand for and I believe in.
I love that.
And everybody should just be themselves.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know in your journey, because you've said this, like these songs and compositions, like this is your sound that you put together. So
absolutely.
Let's hear it. I can't wait.
All right.
Y'all, let's give it up one more time for Desarae.
Thank
My goodness,
you.
Desarae, that's how you feel. All right. I feel like that too.
I mean, what can I say?
Listen, be original. And y'all heard that melody? It's in my head even right now. And like, talk to us a little bit about that, Desarae. Yeah. Yo, I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear
so
you.
that's kind of how I write my music, you know? So I try to kind of come up with a melody that fits whatever mood I'm in or whatever situation I'm going through at the time. Or it could be a happy moment, could be a sad moment.
Right.
And sometimes I'm sitting here at the piano and I instantly hear a melody. Play out the melody, similar to this one.
Right. Yup.
Right?
Yup.
And it's like the central focal point
Gotcha.
of the song.
I love
right?
that. Yeah.
And then, I kind of form my chords based on that melody.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So like that first chord there that I played.
Yeah, let's get it up on the screen because I know we have a shot of that where we can actually show y'all. So y'all have some keyboards here in the room. We can break down. Yeah, we can break down some of these chords.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we have here?
Right.
Awesome. I know, right?
Right? What's it now? Right? So we have that A flat major
right
chord there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, A flat major 9.
Right. Wow.
It's a lot. It's very meaty.
I gotta try. Let me see.
Very meaty.
Jeez, y'all seeing this? So you got an F in your left hand, is that right?
No, I don't think that F is supposed to be there.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's maybe the program is doing that. Maybe it just got stuck.
Oh,
okay.
there we go.
It got
Didn't
stuck.
even realize.
Okay, there we go. There we are. All right, awesome. So these are some of the neo soul kind of voicings, right?
Yeah. So with neo soul, you'll find that there's extensions, right? So neo soul, if we think back to how neo soul even came about, right? This guy named Kadar Massenberg.
Okay.
Right. So he kind of coined the term neo soul.
Got you.
In the 90s, right?
Got you, right.
And neo soul comes from like soul music from the 70s. So it's a mix of contemporary R&B and soul from the 70s. So if you're somebody who likes 70s music, 70s R&B, right? Is kind of like those two meshed together. And then it has these elements of jazz, gospel, hip hop, right? And you're just fusing all of them. But also the difference between, say, R&B and neo soul.
Right.
Neo soul has a deeper message. There's a deeper meaning to it, right?
Gotcha.
I mean, if you look at the title, neo
soul, right?
Just the soul aspect.
Right.
So you have to dig deep.
Got you.
In your gut. You have to dig deep to really, I guess, understand the music, because R&B is it's kind of like it's cool. But soul,
good,
when you're talking soul music,
the
you
message.
have to really get deep with it. It's not surface level like R&B is,
right?
Because I find R&B to be very surface level.
Gotcha.
But when you're talking soul music, and especially with the lyrics, like you really have to dig deep.
Right. Gotcha.
Go to places that you never expected to go.
Absolutely.
With your music. So that's how you kind of have to approach neo soul.
I love that.
I mean, think of different artists like Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Right. Jill Scott.
Right.
D'Angelo.
Right.
Maxwell.
Right.
Music Soul Child.
Got you.
Right. So if you listen to their music, especially Music Soul Child, like he's probably up there.
Yeah.
He's one of my top artists for me personally. Right. And if you listen to his lyrics and the way that his music is played, there's about 4 chords that he uses, right? Mm-hmm. But they're rich.
Right.
There's those elements of the 7s and the 9s and the 11s.
Can you show us that chord one more time? Yeah, because that was...
I'll just kind of play.
Yeah.
There's a song that I like from him. It's called So Beautiful.
Okay.
Right? So... Right. So first chord really is the G minor 7th chord. Right. So if we take out the extension for a moment, right? So we have a G minor chord.
Okay, got you. Yeah, because those are like the triads, right?
Yeah. Right. So essentially you're taking triads and you're adding the extension of 7. Now people are probably wondering, okay, what is 7?
Right.
So if we take a look at just like a basic major scale, so C major scale, for example. Right, and we give each of these letters in the scale a number. Right. So C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7.
Yep.
Right. Now in G minor is the relative minor scale of B flat major.
Okay. Yep,
right. So I'll play B flat major here for you. These are the notes for B flat major.
Got you.
Right? Now, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. G is the 6th note.
Yup.
So in any major scale that you play, if you want to find the relative minor, or I like to call them cousin scales. Right. So the minor cousins. You have a major cousin and you have a minor cousin.
Right.
So if you want the minor cousin, you're going to go to the 6th note of the scale. So in the key of B flat, G is note number 6. And I'm going to form a triad.
Right.
Right? So triad means 3, so 3 semitones apart, right? So G to B flat is a minor third interval, and then I'm going to add a D. Right?
And then you mentioned the 7.
And then my 7. Okay, so my 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
So it's the 7 in that particular chord. So
you.
if I'm dealing with G minor, right? So in that G minor scale, I'm going to take the 7th note and add it on.
Got you.
So 1, so that's the first note.
Yep.
Right? 2, 3.
Yep.
D is 5.
Yep.
And then F would be 7.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what gives it that minor 7th
sound.
That's
right?
That sound. So even for it to be minor, the quality of the chord is going to come from that middle note there.
Right.
So if I were to just play it as a major or a dominant 7th, this is dominant 7th here, right? So if I wanted to change this into a minor 7th chord, I'm going to take this middle note here, and I'm going to lower it a half step.
Yep.
Right.
So this is basically a chord that people just, when you talk about neo soul, this is a chord to have in your bag. Like you can't.
Any chord that's a 7th, right? But it's mainly the major 7th and the minor 7th. You can use the dominant 7th as well, because there are songs that do use the dominant 7th. So, for example, this chord here, G dominant 7th, right? Now, if you're not familiar with the word dominant, dominant means the 5th note.
Right.
We're building a 4-note chord on the 5th note of the scale.
Got you.
So see this chord here, G dominant 7th, comes from the key of C major.
Yep, yeah.
Right? So C major, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to continue to build my chord in thirds. And because C major doesn't have a key signature, like there's no sharps, there's no flats in it, right? I'm just going to follow the notes.
Got you.
The misconception with the dominant 7th chord is people think, okay, well, if this is my dominant 7th chord, I'm in the key of G major.
Right.
When that's not the case.
Right.
Dominant means the 5th note.
Got you.
So it's coming from a key.
Got you.
Right?
Got
so
you.
the dominant 7th of. So you may hear the term the dominant 7th of C major or the dominant 7th of B flat major.
Got
right?
you.
That means that chord belongs to that key. It's not a key on its own.
Got you.
If that makes sense.
No, that's making sense. And are folks in the room following? I just want to kind of check in with folks. Is this helpful? Awesome.
Okay, amazing.
So maybe what you can do a little bit, Desarae. I know you kind of started with that amazing Be Original song.
Yeah.
And you're kind of breaking down some of the voicings in that song.
Yeah.
Can you kind of continue on that path? Because I think that'd be really cool.
So
just
the
to kinda...
first chord there, if I can have it on the screen.
Yeah, sure. We'll get that up for you.
Right. So this chord here is A flat major 7.
Okay.
Right? So it's an A flat major chord.
Right.
And then I've added the 7th.
Got
which
you.
belongs to the key of A flat.
Yep.
Now, the way that I voiced it was I took this G and I moved it to the bottom of the chord.
Okay.
So you get that.
Okay.
Right? And that's the thing with your chords.
Right.
You don't have to necessarily play them in root position, because this is a root position 7th chord.
Yep.
Right? So what I've done is I've moved this G to the bottom.
Got you.
Now, obviously, the first note of my song is in the middle. Right? It starts on here.
Awesome.
Right?
Yep.
And then the next chord was this.
What's that?
If you go back to the original G minor 7th chord, that's essentially what it is.
Okay.
Now, if you see in my right hand, I've changed the inversion.
Right.
So this is B flat over G. That's basically what it is.
Okay.
Right? but I've doubled my F
Okay.
in there.
Okay. So sometimes you're adding some notes just to thicken up the sound a little bit.
Exactly, right? I mean, with the 7th chord, there's only 4 notes, so you can double. And I like to double my notes.
Awesome.
Right?
And does it matter what notes you're doubling up on, or? I guess it.
So I guess it depends really.
Right.
But I'm normally only using the notes in the chord. So for
Okay.
example, if I want to double my F, I can double the F.
Right.
Just to give it more. Now, if I just play it as it is, it still sounds thick.
Yeah.
As it is.
Right.
Right.
But that other.
But I want to double the F.
Yeah. I feel
right?
you.
Doesn't you hear how
it's like another thicker layer. Almost.
Yeah. So if we just kind of take it apart, G minor, that sounds super boring.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna add a 7 to it. Okay, it's sounding nice.
Yep.
But I don't want to play it in this inversion. I'm gonna add this. Move my G to the bass.
Gotcha.
Right. But I think it can add more thickness. Let's double the D.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you'll find in a lot of neo soul, some notes are doubled.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you notice in my left hand, I'm not playing octaves.
Yeah. Yeah. So your left hand is. Can you actually just do that again? Just the left hand. Ah. Okay. So you're playing G and D, right?
Yeah. So in the original chord, right? You know, you have 1, you have 3, and you have 5.
Yep.
Most people, they're not sure what to do in the left hand.
Right.
Right. Most people are used to just playing octaves.
Yeah.
Now I could do this.
Yeah.
I
it
could
sounds
do
too
that,
basic. Yeah.
but I don't want to do that. But also, if I'm playing with a bass player, I can't do this.
True.
Right. So what you can do instead of just playing octaves,
Right.
you can play the root and the 5th of this chord.
Got you.
Right. So you can play the 1 and the 5 because in your chord you have 1, 3, and 5.
Ah. Right.
So instead of playing octaves,
Right.
I can play the G and the D in my bass.
Yeah. And then that way you're out of the bass player's way,
Exactly.
but your chord still has some meat on the bone, so to speak.
Because you kind of want to stay in this area
Gotcha.
of your keyboard when you're playing with a bass player.
Awesome. Are folks getting this? Did anyone have any questions so far? Is it all making sense? Awesome. Great. I think folks are.
Amazing.
Yeah,
right?
I think folks are moving along. Yeah.
The next chord was this. So F minor.
Is that a 2 or what? So what key is this song in?
Excuse me, A flat.
Okay, got you. So we're in A flat. Got you. So that'd be your 6th then, right?
Yes.
Got you.
Right. So that's the F minor.
Yep.
F minor 7. So if you notice, there's a lot of 7s in
Yeah,
playing,
like
right?
everywhere. Okay.
But it's a lot of me doubling notes, right? Rearranging the notes, not necessarily playing them in root position, because I could play my
right, but it doesn't sound the same when you do it that way.
No,
yeah.
and the great thing about these chords is you can pull them apart.
Right.
Or if I wanted to, I could play the 3 and the 7.
Okay.
And play it like this.
Okay.
Because when you have a 4-note chord, specifically a 7th chord,
right,
the meat of the chord is the 3 and the 7.
Right.
Now, I could literally just play the 3 and the 7, and I can move the 1 and the 5 in the bass and play it like this.
Right. Man.
Right? So.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
If I want to. Or I can play the full chord.
Right.
But if I don't really know what to do, then I can just pull apart that one chord.
Right.
Okay, I have my F minor 7th here. Okay, I don't know what else to play. So what I can do is I can keep the meat of the chord, which is the 3 and the 7, and move the 1 and the 5 in my bass.
The rest of the bass. Got you. Interesting.
So you see, it still kind of has a full sound to it.
It's still there, yeah. It sounds, to me, it sounds more full than when you played it in root position. Yeah.
Right?
Maybe it's just the spreading out of the notes that,
Yeah, so with a lot of my chords, I'll tend to spread them out.
Got you.
Excuse me. So that, or play play it like this.
I like that.
Still sounds nice.
So can you play, because I think this is our third chord now
Yes,
in the
it is.
sequence. All right, so can we kind of play them
Yeah, so we have,
back to back?
that's the 1, right? 7,
Oh, yeah.
6,
Oh, yeah.
right? Now we're going to go 5.
Ooh, that sounds sweet. So let's break that one down.
Okay, so let's go back to what it actually is. This is the actual chord here. It's a E flat major 7.
Right.
Right. So that's the E flat triad.
Yup.
Right? Well, actually, E flat major 9, sorry.
Got you.
Original chord, I've had the 7, which is D, and then the 9. 9? What's 9?
Ah.
Right?
That's like the 2,
okay,
right?
I'm going to explain 9 because people are like, what's 9? Okay, so in your scale, you have 8 notes. So from this note to this note is an octave.
Right.
Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes. Once I've passed 8, I can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 again. I'm going to continue my numbers. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Right.
All the way into the next octave.
Gotcha.
Right? So 1 octave equals 8 notes.
Right.
2 octaves is 15
notes.
Right?
Gotcha.
So that's where those extensions, jazz extensions are coming from.
Gotcha.
Right? So a chord like this, right? So I have 1, 3, 5, 7,
Yep.
9.
Got you.
Now I'm not going to call it 2.
Yeah.
I got to call it 9. Right? Once you've passed 8, anything after 8, you've got to call it either 9, 11, 13.
Right.
There's no 15 because 15 is just E flat, right?
Right.
So 1 E flat octave 1, E flat octave 2. So this would just be 1, this would be 8, this would be 15. They're all the same note. So I don't really need to use the 15. I don't need to use 12. There's no 10. Now, if we're talking like, if I were to do like theory and I had to write an interval of a tenth, I would have to write it out, but I never really would play a chord with a tenth or
you
or
don't.
a
You never
12th.
hear that.
No.
It's always 11th, 9th, 13th.
Because if you notice the numbers, everything's in thirds.
Right.
Right? 1.
Yep.
So the distance is a 3.
Yep.
All the chords are going to be played in thirds, right?
Major third, minor third.
Right?
Yeah.
Third. Third.
Right. Ah, right.
Right? This is a E flat major 13.
Right.
Right? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13.
Jeez. That's how you feel.
So I'm going to say this because I think it's important in a way because this also how I learned the jazz chords.
Okay.
Because sometimes people may not understand like, okay, 7, 9, 11, 13.
Right.
But what I realized, and actually I went to a session, I don't know if anybody's heard of Power Up. From the Toronto Mass Choir.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with who Corey Butler is, right? So I went to one of his sessions, and he told us that I only play 3 chords. And I said, what are you talking about? I only play 3 chords. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But he was able to break it down where essentially these jazz chords are simply primary chords that he's playing.
Right.
Stacked. Right?
On top of each
so
other.
this E flat major 13, for example, can you tell me what primary chords you see in that?
So I see an E flat major.
What else do you see?
A D minor.
What else do you see?
And an F major.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that E flat major 9
Yeah.
is essentially just this chord here plus this major chord.
Right. Yeah. So that's a way of simplifying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to learn how to simplify the jazz chords and the jazz extensions so that it makes sense, not only to me, but to other people.
Yeah.
Right? Because most people won't know, like, okay, what's a 13? What's a 9? What's an 11?
Right.
But if you break it down based off of primary chords, like simple chords that people already know, then you can kind of see, okay, so this is in the key of A flat, this is 5.
Yup.
Right? And this is major 6.
Got you.
right?
Amazing.
Because normally in the key of A flat, F is minor normally.
Yep.
But with an E chord, you can change the quality.
Right.
So instead of this being a 6 minor, it's going to be a 6 major.
Make it major, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
and you slap a 5 on top of that.
And there we go.
You've got an E flat major 13.
That's awesome.
Right?
Man.
Or you also said you saw a D minor chord, right?
I did, yeah.
What's that called, Joel?
Man, you got to help me out.
Can you tell me?
So this would be a minor 7 with 9 or minor 9. And then you got a minor 11 or no? What's that A?
What's the A?
Yeah.
When it comes to E flat, what's the A?
Yeah, what is the A? That would be the flat 5. Flat 5. Is that right?
Flat. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Lovely.
Amazing.
It sounds so nice.
Man, it's a sweet chord.
Right, because you have an E flat major chord, you have a D minor chord, right?
Yeah.
Technically, this is the 11 here.
Yeah.
1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11.
Okay.
Right.
Whatever it is, it sounds sweet. It
E
works
flat
for me.
major 13, if
Okay.
you want, or we can do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, some of these chords are just... But talk about the chord quality, because even though you're thinking about this, I know you're still thinking in terms of your number system, right? So it's like you're thinking your 1 chord, because like the progression, right?
Exactly.
We started on our 1.
Yeah.
And then where did we go after the 1?
So we did 1.
Yep.
7.
7.
Normally 7 is diminished.
Yeah, but this is a sweet... This
right?
is another way
So
of doing it.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then that was 6.
Got you.
And then this was 5.
5, man. That's sweet. Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
But it's just an E flat major 9.
Yeah.
So I didn't add any of that extra stuff there.
Right. Okay.
Right? It's just E flat major 9. So it's mostly 7s and 9s, really.
Yeah.
And then I went to 1, 2, 3, 4, sharp 4.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right? Because normally in the key of A flat, we have a D flat. D flat would be 4. But I raised it.
Yeah, why not? What I'm noticing in some of these voicings as well is they tend to sound very open, if you know what I mean. Like, it just sounds very, like, wide, if that makes any sense.
I've gotten that a lot,
especially
like when I was talking to another producer recently, and he was listening to one of my songs, and he said, it sounds so open. It sounds so wide.
Yeah, it does.
Even without the mix.
Yeah, for real.
And the master, like on its own, it just sounds very wide. But I like to, open up everything. I find that like when you open up your chords, it gives you more of a more body, right? Body,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to play all scrunch up like this all the time, right? I want to open up my chord, right?
Yeah. Oh, it sounds so big. Yeah.
Right.
See, I'm gonna work on this. Don't worry, man. We're gonna get this. We're gonna go back. I love it because we have it on the screen, and so folks can go back and try to get some of these chords.
Right. So that was 1, 7, 6, 5, sharp 4.
Ah, I love that.
And then the chord after that was this.
I want to get it back. I think we might have switched to another angle. I want to get it back on the screen just for folks to be able to see. And for those that are in the room, are y'all getting something from this? Is this helpful? Awesome. Okay. So we've talked about 9s. We've talked about extensions. We've talked about ways of thinking about chords, right? Stacking, right? Different triads together. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, instead of just thinking of it in such a complex way, it's 2 triads beside each other. And then you talk about spreading that out so that it doesn't sound, too small. So that's great, man. No, this is awesome. I think we've got it back here, Desarae. So why don't you just run that one more time?
7, 6, 5, sharp 5.
I love that. Awesome.
Right. And then I went here.
Yeah, there's that chord.
Alt
Yeah, I know it sounds,
alternate 7.
Yep.
So an alternate chord is, you have like, what's it, sharp 5, sharp 9.
Yep,
right?
that's that one, yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting chord.
Yeah, I'm as you play that chord, I'm seeing my guitar and I'm seeing the shape. Like, I'm seeing it. Yup, that's the chord right there, man.
Right?
Yep.
So weird. But yeah, basically an alternate chord is when you raise the 5th and the 9th.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that's gonna take you somewhere, right?
Yeah. And it follows the right? Because that's that melody there, right? And then I changed this chord. I went here the second time. Right? So I made it a F major 7 chord there. So the first time is a F minor 7. Second time is a F major 7.
Amazing.
Yes. And then I followed the same pattern again. But instead of doing the G, I switched the bass.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let me explain that too.
Awesome.
Because I don't know if anybody has heard of a tritone. Right? So a tritone simply means 3 tones.
Okay.
Right? So from the G to the D flat or the C sharp is a tritone.
Okay.
Now you have something called tritone substitution.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So basically, if I were to take this chord here, I can do tritone 7 to the tritone that's below. Right?
Just
and play the same chord. Exactly.
Got you.
Right? So I can take this and then tritone sub it.
Yeah.
Same chord.
Yeah.
I'm just changing
different
the bass.
note.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it still works with that because they're tritone. Right? And that works for anything.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if I take this chord here, tritone. Same chord. Yeah.
Amazing. And for those folks that are in the room, I want to make sure y'all don't have any questions because this is our moment, y'all. We're sitting here with Queen of Vibes herself. She's breaking down. We're getting a chance to get into her head and how she comes and thinks of some of these chords. And so I know we're working them out. I see folks in the room kind of trying to get it on the screen.
And even just making it and just playing it as basic as you can. Like, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. Right? So you can see the chords for yourself, right? G minor 7, A flat major 7, G flat minor 7, sorry. Right? F minor 7. Right? I'm just doubling a lot of the notes, right? E flat major 9. Right? D minor 9, right? And then G alt 7.
Amazing, yeah.
Or D flat alt 7.
Jeez.
Right?
That right there, like that's a great bag of chords. If this is your first time encountering Neo Soul and the voicings, and like tell me, Desarae, because I know you're very proficient and I know you're able to play in multiple keys and stuff.
Yeah.
Is the idea with these chords to kind of just learn them all over the place and just kind of get comfortable and despite what key you're in and all that?
So what you can do is, if you have a pattern of 4 chords, learn it in one key and then learn it in every other key.
Move it around.
Transpose it.
Right.
Move it around.
Yeah,
so if you got to move it in half steps.
Right.
Or whole steps.
Yeah.
You can do that.
And that will help you to get some chords, right, in other keys and awesome. So this is a starting point, y'all. Like, you know, we there was still some homework to do. She's showing it to you in this key, and now we can go home and kind of learn it and also move it around as well.
Yeah.
So I love that. Thank you, Desarae.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I know there were some folks online, some folks just saying, you know, great sound, loving your sound.
Oh, thank you.
No questions so far from the online audience, but are there any questions from the in-person audience? And while we do that, I know, Desarae, you're going to get another performance ready, I think. Awesome. But any questions for Desarae so far, folks? Any questions? We do have a mic if there is some questions, just so folks can hear online as well. But so far, so good. All right, cool. Great stuff. Well, Desarae, you know what? Listen, I have I have like 50 questions. So if people want to go, I'm gonna be digging in.
You have 50 questions on your own?
You know what? I've not on my own, but I've had a chance to think about this and coming into stuff, and there's all kinds of questions that I have for you.
Oh, okay.
And so as you're getting ready for your next performance, one of my questions for you, Desarae, because you've talked about some of your influences, right? As far as artists and stuff. Who are some of your influences as far as keyboard players? Because I know, didn't that kind of have a little bit to do with how you got a little bit into this a bit, or maybe not?
You know what? I will say this. Like, I have 4 musical influences.
Okay.
Just in general.
Okay, yeah.
So I was classically trained. So I didn't even know much about jazz until my teens.
Okay.
So I started when I was really young. I was like 6 when I started.
Right.
So it was just like classical, all classical.
Right.
But when I was in high school, I think I was around 15, I wrote my first song.
Okay,
and I had a lot of these complex chords, but the thing is I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
So I played in church.
Right.
Learned different songs, hymns,
yep.
all of that. But one day I was just kind of sitting at the piano, and I like to experiment with different things. So I was experimenting with all these different chords, but I didn't know what I was playing. So I went to university to figure out what I was doing, right?
Got you.
And that's how I kind of learned about 7s, 9s, 11s, 13s.
Yep.
But a lot of it was even just to get like the neo soul and the jazz and the gospel and all of that. It was a lot of me listening to different artists.
Right.
So Robert Glasper is one of my influences. I heard about him in my 3rd year of university.
And for folks that don't know, phenomenal keyboard player. So check them out if you don't know.
Jazz pianist.
Yes.
He's won lots of Grammys. And he's worked with like pretty much everybody in the industry.
Yep, absolutely.
Alicia Keys.
Yep.
So
well known.
That is she was one of my first woman.
Right.
Right? Because again, you don't see a lot of Black women
absolutely
who are artists who are doing keys, but keys on their own.
Right.
Like Alicia Keys, she sang in addition to playing.
True.
But I've never ever seen a Black woman just do keys with no singing whatsoever.
Right.
So for her, it was, oh my goodness, there are Black women who are doing and winning Grammys and all these different awards and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
Oscar Peterson.
Okay, yep. Canadian
legend.
There we go.
Jazz piano legend. So I'll tell you a quick story. I had somebody ask me one day, oh, so what do you do?
Right.
And I said, well, I'm a piano player. And they're like, really? Like, your hands are really small.
Wow. Really?
So I know, right? So I'm thinking to myself, I didn't know there was a size requirement to play the piano. I figured anybody could play, doesn't matter what size hands you have.
Absolutely.
Right? So Oscar Peterson, I would like watch his videos and I would see his key work and he'd be stretching from like this key to like this key over here. And I'm like, how are you doing that? So I was really determined and I was like, I want to be able to stretch like that. And I'm going to play a song later on where I do a lot of stretching. And I can stretch about that far. On a good day.
Let's get it up because I want y'all to see this. For all the naysayers, maybe they're on the stream right now.
Maybe they are. Who knows? Right?
Look at that.
Right?
That's
on a good day, I can do the F on the good day.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I can on a good day.
What?
Right? On a good day. It depends on the note, right?
Yeah.
I was never able to do that before. Right?
Amazing.
But it took a lot of, work with just like scales. The chords actually helped. As well too. Chording helped with stretching, but also I don't know how many piano players actually stretch their fingers before they play.
Yeah.
But I do that. I do a lot of stretching.
Got you.
Right. So.
And maybe we would just want to double check. I think someone was saying there was a sound issue online. I'm not sure, but we'll get it rectified, whatever it is, if there is anything at all. Yeah. There was a question though, Desarae, that came in from online.
Yeah.
And so the question was, what's your advice for someone who is older and still learning. Yeah.
Advice for somebody who's still learning and who's older.
Yeah.
You know what? So I have a couple of older students that I do teach. I have a guy from the States.
Okay.
And he does production and stuff, but his thing was he didn't really understand like chords and scales and how they worked.
Right.
And then also on top of that, he has a learning disability.
Oh, right. Yep.
So he has autism.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay, right.
But I was able to work with him, and really, it was a lot of over-explaining, a lot of showing, a lot of visual cues that I used to help him.
Right.
And then also just trying to explain things in different ways for him to understand.
Got you.
And like I tell anybody at any age, don't give up.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn, and you're never too old.
That's the thing. Like, what is it about us as musicians, like, and artists and creative people? Like, I feel like we put our own, like, artificial timelines on stuff.
So I get a question a lot where people ask, okay, how long is it going to take me to be as good as you? And I said, well, I can't really answer that because everybody's different.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Some people are quick learners.
Yeah.
Some people are not as quick.
Right.
But also, why are you putting a timeline on your learning?
Right.
I always tell anybody that's going into music, young or old, that you are and you should be a lifetime student of music because there is always something new to learn. I've been playing for almost 3 decades and I'm still learning.
Wow.
Right? Because when you think about it, every musician has their own way of playing, and I'm learning from other musicians different techniques that they do to play. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I've never done that before. I've never approached music like that before. People, just like people would look at me and they're like, see what I do, and they're like, oh, I would have never thought to do that. I would have never thought to do this. I would say, don't put a time limit on your learning. Be open to be a lifetime student of music.
Absolutely.
Because you're always going to learn something new and something that you've never tried before. And if you put a timeline on that learning, then you're saying, oh, well, I've learned enough, so I'm not open to learning anything. I'm okay with what I've learned.
Yeah.
So you're kind of limiting yourself and putting yourself in this box where, okay, I'm comfortable with playing 3-note chords. I'm okay with that. I don't want to play 4-note chords, or I don't want to play 7s. I don't want to play jazz chords. I don't want to do this. So I'm like, so you're restricting yourself, but also you're missing out on all of these beautiful chords and beautiful extensions that you can add to those 3-note chords that you already know.
Right. I love that. Like, some great advice. Like, even whether young, old, middle-aged, whatever. Like, just the idea of that perseverance and keep going, and not putting putting yourself in a box. Right. I have to do this by a certain age, or I have to get there, or you're going at your own pace. Nothing wrong with having a drive and going for it, but like to put these kinds of deadlines and things that are really arbitrary. Like they don't have any real bearing. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's interesting, especially like I know musicians probably do this all the time, especially now the social media age. Yeah. There's the young, the 2 and 3, 4 and 5-year-olds that are just like already so proficient and amazing. And
unfortunately, a lot of that is natural talent.
Yeah.
You can't stop. You can't stop natural talent.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is over the generations are getting better and better.
They are. The baseline's moving.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, I see some people, like some Gen Zs and whatever the generation, Gen Alpha, and I'm like, I wish I could play that good. If I was playing that good at that age, oh, man.
Listen. But we all do it, but it's like, listen, we have to find a way, as you said, right, to have your own motor, not to be discouraged, to keep going, and to keep working on things.
If anything, you should be inspired by people who are better than you.
Right.
You should be wanting to learn from those people.
Awesome.
Right? So.
Absolutely. I got this other question that came in online.
Yeah.
They said, what advice, interesting, for someone who has limited access to a professional keyboard or a keyboard with a professional sound?
Okay. So there's a lot of different keyboards on the market right now.
Right.
And when you're learning, you do not have to buy the top of the line keyboard to learn.
Right, right. Say that again, because I think some people need to hear
You do not have to buy the most expensive piano to learn. Because I
Right.
get this question a lot too,
Right.
where people ask me, well, what brand of piano should I get?
Right.
Now, I've played on different types of pianos.
Yep, yep.
And there are many options.
Right.
Now, normally I would say Yamaha
Right.
or Roland.
Right.
Right. However, I understand that people may not have the budget
Right.
for those. But you can still play on these boards.
Right.
But you have something called renting.
Right, right.
So
right.
go to Long and McQuaid or
Right.
your nearest music store. Ask them what kind of rental options they have.
Good
right?
point, yeah.
They have programs like Rent to Own.
Right.
Or if you, actually, how I bought my Nord Electro 6D here.
Okay.
I was renting it for I think 2 years.
Wow, okay.
And what happened was you build up enough rental credit where they
Yeah.
put it towards the price of the board.
Okay.
And whatever is left, you can
just pay.
finance it
Okay.
over a year
Nice.
span. So
Yeah. There you
say
go.
the board is $3,000
Yep.
and your rental credit was, I don't know, $1,500.
Yep, yep.
So the remainder, you would
You
just pay over the year.
Right, right.
Right? So there's many different ways to get boards. I mean,
Right.
if you want these kinds of boards.
Right.
Or you can just use something like a Casio.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not
yeah.
a fan of Casio.
Yeah, yeah.
But if that's what you can afford,
Right. Use
play
it.
on it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not about the brand
Right.
of board.
Right,
You
right.
just need to have something to practice on.
Right. Especially when you're just starting.
Yeah,
right?
you're just
Right.
starting out. I'm not expecting you to go buy a Korg Triton
Right, right.
or a Nord Piano 4. Like,
Yeah,
you don't need to
yeah.
be doing all that.
Absolutely.
Right? Especially if you're just learning. Just get something that's in your budget.
Right.
And if you don't have the money to upfront to buy the board, you can rent.
Got you. Amazing. And you talked about sound a little bit, because I know a big part of Neo Soul. It's interesting. You're not playing a keyboard, like, if you know what I mean. Like, you're not playing piano. You're playing,
Yeah.
like, is that Rhodes or like? Let's talk about that. while we're
Yeah.
on the
So
topic.
for Neo Soul, you'll notice that a lot of Neo Soul sounds use Rhodes. Right.
Can you demonstrate what that sounds like?
Let me pull up the one that I have here. This is on the Yamaha CK88.
Awesome.
This is like a 78 Rhodes.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So let me see here.
Amazing.
Right. So it's just the sound.
Yeah.
Sound definitely plays a part in it, and you
Right.
can make adjustments to the Rhodes sound.
Right.
There's different types of Rhodes sounds. Like you have this. There's a 78 RD here. There's this type of sound where it's a little bit more. There's more meat
Yeah,
in it.
yeah, yeah.
And you have some of the open ones like the Wurlitzer.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds more like light, like fluffy.
Okay.
Fluffy sound, right? And then you have the clav. If you
Okay.
want to play the
Yeah.
clavinova,
Yeah.
right, which is Stevie Wonder does a lot of that.
Right, yeah.
And then they have one called DX. So it kind of has
That
like that
sounds a certain
old
way, yeah.
90s R&B. So I guess it just depends. Like a sound like this, like it gives me 90s, 80s, 90s
Yeah.
R&B vibes.
Got you.
Especially since it's so like bright.
Yeah.
Because it's bright. But if you want something that's a little bit more like deep, mellow, go for the Rhodes.
Keep playing, Desarae. That's doing something for me right now.
All right.
Absolutely beautiful. That sounds. Doesn't she sound amazing? Oh my goodness!
Thank you.
I can't even get the words out. Listen, great work there, Desarae, and great stuff. And thanks for breaking down some of that. I know you had a performance for us, right? Or,
I do.
Yeah.
But before I perform, the other thing you have to remember with neo soul is like the feel. You have to have feeling.
Yes.
There has to be soul, like I said earlier, right? Especially like as a piano player. Now, I can't teach you feel.
Right.
It's something that you kind of have to cultivate and develop on your own. Because it's not enough to just play the chords. Because I could just play the chords.
You're right. Yeah.
I could do that. But it's really getting into it,
and how
right?
You're,
But also, you have to kind of cultivate your own feel. Like, you have to really be passionate. You have to have the passion. You have to have the soul. When you're playing neo soul, you have to have those. You have to exude. Passion. You have to exude soul. And if you don't exude passion, you don't exude soul, then you're never really going to bring out the true essence of neo soul.
That's a good point, because you're right. Like, I can play some of those voicings and they probably won't sound the way you do. And I feel like to a certain degree, like one thing I noticed even with your performance, you're kind of like sitting behind the beat a little bit. Like, and you're not, you're still locked in, but you're kind of just, I don't know, it's just like a feel thing, as you said.
And something that you can do, because I'm sure I'll probably get a question about this, something you can do is immerse yourself. In neo soul.
Right.
Listen to the music. Listen to how the music is played. Right? And this I go back to, experimenting. Listening to neo soul artists like Erykah Badu and Jill Scott and D'Angelo and Music Soul Child. Listen to it and listen to how they exude the feeling. Right? And then try to imitate. That.
And I'm curious, like it kind of ties back to one of the questions around what to do if you don't have access to a keyboard and all that. Do you think, like, maybe this is something you've done or maybe not done as much, but like MIDI, is that a thing for people where like they may have like a basic sound or keyboard, but they can get other sounds and stuff?
So if you have a DAW, so a digital audio workstation, so for example, like GarageBand. Logic Pro 10, which is now Logic Pro 11. Ableton, Fruity Loops, Cubase, whatever other ones are out there. If you have a MIDI chord, right? So if you look at the back of your piano here, most pianos have a MIDI port or they have a USB port, but really you want to get a MIDI to USB cord. And you'll get a laptop and plug that into your laptop so that you can use the stock sounds that are inside your DAW. So if you don't have like a Rode sound or you don't have all these fancy Rode stuff that you can use, you can get a digital audio workstation and get a MIDI to USB cord, plug in the MIDI portion into your piano, plug in the USB portion to your keyboard or your laptop, and you can have this act as a MIDI board, and you can use the sounds that are inside the DAW.
Got you. Yeah. So that's a nice tip for folks that may be like, oh, I don't have all these big expensive keyboards.
Yeah. So you can use M Audio has MIDI keyboards. Novation has MIDI keyboards. Akai has MIDI keyboards. So if that's a more affordable approach for you, you can do that. But then you're also going to need a laptop and a digital audio workstation. And
maybe they might have a computer already, as to your point. Some, like you mentioned, GarageBand. Some of them are
so free, a lot of people are using Macs. MacBook Pro, MacBook Air. And if you still use PC, kudos to you. Most people who are using PC, I think they're using Cubase, because I know when I had PC, I was using Cubase and I was using Ableton because those are compatible with both. But most programs are not compatible with PC. So like GarageBand and Logic Pro, those require Mac OS X.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that tip, Desarae. And I think folks are kind of ready to hear some more music.
Okay.
I know. Yeah. It looks like I'm seeing some thumbs up, so that's always a good sign.
Next song that I'm going to play for you is called Meditation. So in 2022, I released an EP called Self. So I was kind of in this state of self-love, self-care, self-reflection, navigating mental health, navigating childhood trauma, all of that stuff.
Right.
And I had these songs in my library that kind of emulated that journey that I was going on. And I have to speak on this because, you know, as musicians, sometimes we don't take care of ourselves.
That's true.
And we overdo and we overwork.
Absolutely.
And we cater and are of service to everybody else, but we don't cater and be of service to ourselves.
Right.
So I said, what could I do to, you know, kind of share that? And I created music that kind of surrounds, you know, self-love, self-care, kind of like meditative music that you can listen to kind of like calm and, you know, help you go through mental health and all of that.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I can't wait to hear. I'm already getting, ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, Desarae Dee. Amazing, amazing. Wow, like you talk about the soul, putting the soul in the neo. And man, did we just experience that. Thank you so much. I could definitely feel just all that contemplativeness and mindfulness and self and consideration and all of the things you mentioned, even as you're listening and hearing where the song brings you. It sounds like there was a couple key changes in there. Did I hear right? Or maybe I should say outside of the key choices?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what I meant to say. You know what I mean? Like I was hearing some,
I was out of there, right?
Yeah.
And then this one.
Yeah, right? There we go. So talk to us about that a little bit, because I know before we were talking about being in the key, this one feels like there's some stuff going on outside. So
so I call that superimposing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So this example, if I'm in the key of E flat, this song is obviously not in the key of E flat, it's the key of F sharp.
Okay.
So I can add or I can borrow from other keys and superimpose it into this key. Right. So this is 6.
And we'll get this up on the screen just so folks can see. Yeah, it's perfect.
And then I went to 3. This is 3 here.
I think we just lost it.
I'm going to turn this off here.
No, you're good.
And then 6, because I am in the key of G flat, right? This is 6.
There it is. There we go.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And then I went to 7. And then I went here.
Right.
Which does... Well, technically it does belong. This one doesn't belong, right? So I borrowed this from the key of G major.
Yeah.
Right. This
is
like
a
a flat.
6?
Well, I'm in the key of G flat.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Right.
Flat 2.
Yeah.
Right? Flat 2. Right.
Okay.
Right, because that's 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
3. Right. 7.
Right.
Right, because I'm in this key, right? Right. And then I went to 4.
Nice.
And then I went to flat 2, which does not belong.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? Because F sharp.
And so when you're composing and when you're and just in the neo soul genre, are there any rules of thumb when you're kind of experimenting with stuff like that, like certain voices to use or try things with? Because, for example, that flat 2 voicing, was that a major voice? Like, can you
it was
go
a major voicing.
Yeah. So like, can you talk to us a little bit? Is it just kind of like a feel? Try what works.
A lot of it, like for me, was feel, but also like, if I'm gonna use that, then I need to know what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So if I wanted to superimpose G flat, I'm like, okay, where am I gonna put that?
Yeah.
So I have to kind of look at my scale on a whole.
Gotcha.
Right. And where is that G gonna fit? Right. In the key of F sharp.
Right.
G is not really one of the notes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
6 sharps.
Right.
Or in this case, I should probably think of it in G flat. That's the other thing too, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these keys are enharmonic.
Right.
So if you're not sure what enharmonic means, let's take this into real life.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what homonyms are?
Homonyms?
Homonyms?
Yeah. Anyone? Yeah.
Or they call them homophobes.
Or
I don't
orange,
know what they...
Orange.
So words that sound the same, but they're spelled differently.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So there, and there, two.
Okay, right.
Right? So if you relate that back to music, where you have same sound, different notation.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you notice that on your keyboard, right, there's only 5 black keys to 8 white keys.
Yep.
Right? So at every black key, you have 2 white keys that surround every black key.
Yep.
Right? So this, for example... I have 2 white keys that surround this black key. So it's going to have one name, it's going to have a sharp name, and it's going to have a flat name. Right? So when it comes to scales now, there are 3 pairs of scales that sound exactly the same, but they're notated differently.
Gotcha.
So C sharp major and D flat major.
D-flat. Same note,
same sound. They just
name.
One's a sharp scale, one's a flat scale.
Gotcha.
This one, F sharp and G flat.
Right.
And then the notorious B major and C flat major, which people think C flat doesn't exist. I said, yes, it does.
Right. Okay.
Theoretically, it does exist. It's obviously we're not. It's they say because people don't really call it C flat, they call it B major, which is fine. But from a theory perspective, it does exist, and you do need to know it, right? So. I'll just say I'm in the key of G flat, even though it says F sharp major up there, right? That G, right, is a flat 2. So that flat 2 I have turned into a major.
Got
right?
you.
Normally 2, this is 2. This would
minor
be 2.
chord, right.
Minor 2, right? But I have lowered it a half step, right? And then turn it into a major chord, right? Obviously, this does not belong to the key of F sharp major. It belongs to G major. So that's how I've superimposed.
And I imagine like the melody really matters when you're doing this, right?
Yes. And if you notice, a lot of my songs are based off of melody.
Right.
Yep. So a lot of times, when I'm making my chords or forming my chords, I form them based on the melody. Right.
Yep.
So, and then my melody, I'll know like if I'm making a melody in the key of A flat or in the key of C, and I formulate my chords. And sometimes when I formulate those chords, I end up borrowing from other keys.
Right.
In that process.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it definitely to the ear, it sounds good and it works. So it's like, hey, and then to your point, making sure that the melody in the context of what you're playing all fits together. I think that's something really important. It's not just like a free, license to just take any and any chord.
Yeah, it has to work.
Yeah, it's
right. And sometimes what you can do is if you're in a key, like in a major key, for example, and you want to, I guess, have free reign or use chords in different keys. A lot of it comes down to the quality of the chords as well. Right. So if you take like a C major, for example, right, and I have, I want to turn my C major chord into a C minor chord.
Right.
Which you can do, right?
Yep.
But by me doing that, I am now borrowing from the key of E flat major, right? Because C minor, that C minor chord doesn't belong to the key of C major.
Right.
Because what I've done is I've taken my major chord, I have changed the quality.
Got you.
Now, this is from a totally different key. Now, this chord comes from the key of E flat major.
Right.
This is 6.
Got you.
Of E flat. E flat, F, G. 6. So I've now taken that chord and I've superimposed it or added it into the key of C. Right? From this is where I was originally.
That's where you started, right?
That's where I started. Simple C major chord.
But
because I've changed the quality, I have now added the key of E flat into my scale.
Got you.
Just by changing the quality of the chord.
And that opens up the scales too.
Yes,
right?
It does.
Because now, as you said, because you are aware of this, now you're like, oh, I can start boring notes from these other scales, and I don't have to just think inside of one key, especially when I'm landing on a chord like this. Interesting.
So and it's really all just about, obviously you have the qualities of chords, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Any of those can be changed.
Right.
But you just have to know where you're getting that note from.
Right.
Especially if you're in a particular key that has, say, 3 flats in it. And I decide I'm going to add another flat. Where's that flat coming from?
What key?
Which key are you getting that from? So at least you have an understanding of where that's
Absolutely.
from. Yeah.
Amazing. And I hope some folks are getting some of these voicings under their fingers. I know I'm going to be definitely studying some of these things, Desarae, and trying to apply it. And I think you've given some really good advice around melody and making sure that everything can stay tight together. So thank you. Just wanted to pause. Are there any questions from folks in the room right now? Any questions? No? Desarae, you're a really good teacher. Anytime you have no questions, it's just like you're that thorough.
That's the thing with me. I've tried to be as thorough as I can be and try to, like I said, over-explain, explain, show in different ways.
Absolutely.
And all of that. So
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Show us. I know you showed us some of the minor chord extensions. Can you show us some more of the major chord extensions? Like just maybe pick.
So we've got. So we have the C major 7th there.
Yep.
So we're in the key of C. I'm just gonna play these in the key of C so you can see.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you have your major chord. Your major triad,
Yep.
and I've added the 7th note of C major. So remember that's 7.
Yep.
All the notes are coming from that scale; they're not coming from anywhere else, right? Now, say if I wanted to, play a C major 9, what note would I have to play?
Anyone in the room? I'd
to
love
play
to
a
hear.
C major 9. What would I have to add to this to make it a C major 9?
Anyone know?
Does anybody know? What note would I have to add?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yep, the D. That's right.
right? So now I have a C major 9.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so let's take it a step further. If I want to play a C major 11, what would I have to add?
Would that be the F?
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we go.
I mean, it sounds weird, but
You gotta find a place where it fits.
yeah,
It sounds like
it sounds
like there's
weird, right?
tension. Yeah.
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 Sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
On a minor 11, it's gonna sound.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. So we'll just stop there, D, right? Because I don't want to add the F. Because look what happens if you see. Do you notice that there's a G dominant 7th chord in there?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It sounds dominant now.
It sounds dominant now because I'm adding the F. Now, so it's more like a C dom 11.
Right.
As opposed to a C, it wouldn't be C major 11.
Right. That works.
That could work, right?
Yeah.
See, now I've changed that G dominant 7th chord into a G major. Right? But it would not be just a regular 11. It would be a sharp 11.
Right.
Because F sharp doesn't belong to the key of C, right? So
And that's
sharp 11.
Yeah, that's
this
what you're
would
talking
be
about.
C dom 11.
Right. Yeah.
Because of that dominant sound that's in there, right? Then we have C major sharp 11.
Yeah. Amazing. Right. It's such a great voicing.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a D major over like C almost, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, you see?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And you can see that you have a B minor chord in there.
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
Over major. So that's what I was saying to my earlier point where there are
triads
right? In there.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
B minor over C major. That's a C major sharp 11.
Amazing.
Right?
Awesome. No, that sounds great.
Yeah.
No, we're moving along here, Desarae. I'm just looking online just in case anyone had any other questions. Yeah, there's one coming here. We can get it on the mic. That'd be great. And Desarae, thank you so much for so far. We've just been learning and growing all right here. So you've been doing a great job. Thank you.
Welcome.
Really appreciate that.
Hey, my question is, what would be your approach to, like, say, more rhythmic playing, like, say, in your style of music?
Okay. So I kind of did a little bit of that in one of my songs.
Okay.
Where I kind of treated my piano as a percussive instrument.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So kind of like doing
right.
like little different rhythmic patterns.
Yeah.
So instead of just playing like
Right.
whole notes and half
Yeah,
notes
yeah.
and stuff, you can approach your music from more of a rhythmic,
Yeah.
right? So maybe doing eighth shots,
Right.
shots.
Do you? Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I hear that.
Or kind of like a
Yeah.
long, short,
Yeah.
long, short, short, long, short, long, long, short, 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 or short, long, 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 right?
I like
And
that.
a lot of those things, if you have a drummer with you, right?
Yeah, they'll pick up on that real quick.
Yeah, but also if you listen to, which song is it? I think it might have been Jill Scott, A Long Walk.
Okay.
So if you
okay.
listen to that song,
Okay.
you'll notice that a lot of like rhythmic patterns within that and where the keys and the drums are kind of locked
Got you.
in together. So neo soul doesn't just have to be you holding.
I was
whole
about to
notes,
ask that question.
right?
Yeah.
Whole notes and half notes. I feel like if you have maybe like a slower song, those would involve a lot more of the held notes, like whole notes, half
Right.
notes. But if you have like something that's a little bit more up tempo, you have more rhythmic
Yeah.
bass. So you have some eighth notes, 16th
Right.
notes, or quarter notes, or you have
Got
these
you.
different rhythmic patterns where it's like a short, long, or
Yeah.
or synco, pop,
Yeah.
synco, pop.
What I
Yeah.
noticed, Desarae, in your playing just now when you did
Yeah.
that, it's almost like you hear the drums in the way you were playing it. It's like you gave space for the snare, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can feel this. You can feel the pulse.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting because like sometimes we think neo soul, we think like some of your earlier playing, which sounds great, but you know, just very full and very open and very wide and a lot of sustaining of chords. But there is room in the genre, to your point, and in some of these approaches where you can still have these pretty voicings, but you're still grooving with them, right? And
Yeah.
so,
And that's the fusion of the different genres in there, right? So I said earlier that there's jazz, there's gospel, there's hip hop.
Right.
And there's funk.
Right.
So if you listen to those genres,
right,
that's where a lot of those rhythmic patterns come from, right?
Got
I'm
you.
thinking of an artist off of the top of my head who does a lot of that. Jay Dilla.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So he's a hip hop artist, right? And if you listen to his music, there's a lot of soul chords, but there's also some rhythmic component.
Right.
To them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, playing in a band and how your drummer and bass player and all that stuff build off of that. But no, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm just looking online.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. No, I think.
Okay.
I think that was a great answer and great question as well.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for folks? I'm just checking online as well, just to make sure there aren't none.
There's
that
a question.
I love it. Yeah, come on up, please. Thank you so much. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, I think the mic was off.
Check.
Yeah,
There
there
we
we
go.
go.
Long-time listener, long-time fan. Have a question as it pertains to instrumental artists composing their originals. Like you said, an inspiration is Alicia Keys. So I'm wondering if, for the sake of composing something that's catchy, like you said, it was instantaneously in your ear, are you still sort of composing with a lyricist's tinge to it, where it's catchy even without words?
Yeah. So
Great
this
question.
goes back to me using a lot of melody lines in my music and kind of thinking, like, before, as I'm writing my music, writing with the melody in mind. Right? Because I could sit here and slap a bunch of different chords together and just create like the base of a song. But I still needed to have, like, as Bridget was saying, a lyricist's point of view. So that's where the melody comes in. And with my music, I go for the melody first.
Absolutely.
And then I kind of formulate the chords. Growing up taking piano lessons, my piano teacher used to get on me because anytime I played my music, I would never be able to bring out the melody in my classical pieces. And melody is so key in a lot of these classical pieces. And I'd be playing a classical piece, and she said, "I can't hear the melody. I can't hear the melody." So I would work and work. And what I would do with that music is I would isolate the melody from all the underlining accompaniments. So that I could really hear what the melody was, to have a full understanding of how the song is actually supposed to sound without all the underlining accompaniment. So by me doing that, I trained my ear to be like, oh, okay, when I'm playing, I know how this song is supposed to sound. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. And because of the many years of playing and trying to get the melody, it's funny how my greatest weakness became my
Your
greatest
strength,
strength.
right? Now you're writing music around
Now
it.
I'm writing music, starting with melodies and then adding the accompaniment, as opposed to being the accompaniment and then trying to figure out what the melody is going to be.
Got you.
Yeah.
I love that, Desiree. And one thing I was going to ask, because I know, maybe you can help our audience to understand this.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, you have perfect pitch. Is that right?
Yes, I do have perfect
Awesome.
pitch.
So first, maybe explain that a little bit just quickly for folks. And I'm curious, does that help you, like, when you're trying to dissect chords? Like, is it the type of thing where you're hearing all the notes at once? Maybe break it down for us.
Yeah, so perfect pitch is, well, first of all, you have to be born with it.
Yeah, so you're basically you're a superhero, in other words.
Well, I mean, if you want to put it like that. But you can develop perfect pitch from a really, really young age. But after that, it's relative pitch.
Okay. Gotcha.
And essentially, you can hear the notes before it's being played.
Right.
I didn't know I had perfect pitch until I was 18.
Wow.
So I was in university, and I don't know, I was doing something with my teacher, and she asked me out of the blue if I was, and I didn't know what it was. So she explained it to me, and I was like, oh. But I think also this tied into the fact that I'm also an auditory learner, so
Right.
it tied into my learning style.
Got you.
So for many years, I thought I was a visual learner.
Right.
So I needed visuals
Okay.
to be able to understand. And even when it came to music and lessons,
Right.
I was always struggling with sight reading, and I wouldn't understand why I was struggling with sight
Yeah,
reading, but I
yeah.
picked up everything by
Yeah.
ear very
Right.
quickly. And it's funny how you find out things later on in life.
Yep.
Right? So I found out I was an auditory learner in teacher's college. And I was
Got you.
well in my 20s at that
Right,
point.
right.
And my art teacher gave me a task. She asked everybody, draw a picture.
Mm.
And I gave her my picture, and she says, oh, so you're a tactile and an auditory learner. I'm like,
Right.
how did you even know
Yeah,
what kind of learner I was
Yeah.
based off of what I drew?
True, right.
And I found it so fascinating.
Yeah.
So in terms of writing my music now, it definitely really helped me big time
Got you.
because I was
Yeah.
always hearing things
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
head,
yeah.
and I'd be hearing melodies. And as I'm hearing these melodies, I'm hearing all the chords, that
Right.
underlining chords, and of course, taking harmony in university helped.
Yeah. Absolutely. Helped
with
to
helped
bring it up.
with that
Gotcha.
as well. But yeah, perfect pitch. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse.
Well, what are some of the downsides? Like, do you get annoyed if you hear like certain sounds?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I can tell if you're off pitch. I can tell if your instrument is off pitch, even if it's very slight. I can
Okay.
hear it.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
in that sense, it's kind of annoying.
The guitar players, am
The
I
gu-
right?
Not just the guitar players, the bass players.
The bass players too? Okay.
Yeah, I was in a rehearsal. Actually, not even a rehearsal. I was doing a show last week, and we were doing SoundCheck,
Mm-hmm.
and the bass player was soundchecking his bass, and it was super sharp.
Okay.
But I didn't want to say anything, so
Okay.
I kind of just let him do his thing. But deep down, I was like, "You sound sharp."
And that's so funny. And it's like, do you say something? Do you
Do
not?
you not say anything? I was
you
like, I
just
don't want to
left it
be a
alone.
jerk,
I
so
hear
let me
you.
not say
Okay.
anything.
I hear you. It could be a tough conversation. Are you not hearing? This sounds great. What are you talking about?
Yikes. But
Yeah, that's
it
funny.
really does make a difference.
Yeah.
Right? Any even if it's slight, you can hear it.
Yeah. I hear
Right?
that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I
problem.
know we're getting closer to the end here.
Yeah.
Was there one more performance too? Okay, one more. Okay, so we won't get to it just yet.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to know if there were any other questions. Someone did ask.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got South Africa on the live stream. Hi,
Oh,
South
wow.
Africa. Welcome. There was a question around, can you develop absolute pitch? I think you kind of touched on it, but it's not something really you can get close.
You can
or,
develop relative.
right. So break that down for people. Maybe don't
So, I mean, you take piano lessons, for example, and you have different ear exercises.
Right.
So essentially, you would train your ear to
Right.
hear as
Right.
opposed to already knowing what it sounds like.
Got you.
So I would train my ear to hear what a C sounds like or what a
Right.
C sharp sounds like.
Okay.
So that's relative.
Okay,
Relative
okay,
pitch.
yeah.
Meanwhile, if you have perfect pitch, you already know what C sounds like.
Yeah,
You already know what
yeah.
F sharp sounds like before
Right.
actually hearing it.
Right. You can even
Right.
sing it. Like that's.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So relative pitch is okay, you're training your ear to hear what the notes sound like.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that
And-
you're able to identify them.
And do you
Yeah.
find like it kind of gives you an upper hand in terms of learning music, or is it helpful at least? Or?
It's helpful.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it gives me an upper hand.
Okay.
It's helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would
yeah.
see we're learning from a real life superhero, y'all. So
Oh,
we're
gosh.
getting we're getting the breakdown.
To the
I-
rescue.
Right,
I'm kidding.
I love it. I
Just
love it. Are there any other questions? I know some folks maybe have some, either online or in person. If not, I'll go into my bag of questions.
You
Yeah,
might as
one-
well-
One question that I did have, Desiree. I know
Yeah.
we talked about this because this is your second time back here in 2 weeks, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's been a great time. And the first for folks that maybe are tuning in now and haven't seen, Desiree did a phenomenal workshop around artist endorsements. And I know it's up online now, and so folks can always go back and check it out. But just going back kind of into that headspace a little bit, because I think sometimes, to your point, if you're playing an instrument and you're trying to carve out a path, that can be very unconventional, right? Especially when we start thinking about, we don't necessarily see a lot of examples of that out there, to your point, right? And so, you know, for folks that may be out there and are just trying to carve into their own paths and trying to, you know, figure that out, maybe talk to us a little bit from that place and just kind of what it was like for you on your journey. Because I know you've carved a lot of paths, right, that weren't necessarily there.
Yeah. So growing up, I didn't see myself represented in the industry as a whole.
Right.
And there are Black women who, you know, they sing.
Right.
And there's some who play instruments, but they also sing.
Right.
So it's like singing was always the basis
Right.
of the Black woman.
Right.
And over time, that's how society sees Black women.
Right.
So if you're a Black woman in music,
Right.
the first question, do you sing?
Do you sing? Right.
Are you a
right.
vocalist?
Right.
And I just got really tired of that because it puts us in a box. And that
right.
means we're only capable of
Right.
being vocalists.
Right.
We're only capable of singing.
Right.
Or the only thing we have of use is our voice.
Right. Right.
And I wanted to show people that no, Black women are more capable of just using our voices. We
Right.
can play instruments.
Absolutely.
We're A&Rs. We're
Right.
music managers, music
Right.
supervisors.
Right.
We can do much more.
Absolutely.
And I found that was missing in the industry. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do something very unconventional. And I'm just going to be an instrumental artist.
Yeah.
I'm not
yeah,
going to
yeah.
sing at all, period.
Yeah. And have people
Yeah.
pushed back on you on that note, or like, is that a thing where like,
Yikes. So, I mean, even becoming an instrumental artist and actually being in it and doing it, I still get, oh, so do you sing too?
okay.
And I think, like, at this point, it's insulting
Okay.
because, no, I don't sing.
Yeah.
And also, do you think that's all I'm capable of doing?
Right. Right.
Right? So I'm trying to show people that we can do other things.
Right. Right.
We're not vocalists. And
Right.
not every single Black person you come up to sings.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And thinking like that's a part of our identity when
Right.
it's not necessarily
Right.
a part of our identity.
Right. Right.
Anyways, you know, I'm carving this path. It hasn't been easy because, again, I'm doing something different.
Right.
And a lot of people in society are not very open-minded, right?
Right.
People like what they like.
Yeah.
And I understand people like what they like. But I'm hoping that over time people will come accustomed to what I'm doing or
Absolutely.
they'll be interested. But I think like when you're bringing something different to the table, it can't just be a one and done thing. You have
Right.
to be consistent at
Right.
it. You have to keep doing it because if you want people to see
Right.
and you want people to actually start gaining interest in what you're doing, you have to consistently
Continue it.
doing it. You have to keep doing
Absolutely.
it. And that's what I did. I kept doing it. I kept doing it until somebody noticed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And you
Yeah.
mentioned how you've been able to, for again, we'll probably put up the link at some point for folks to go over to that other video. But
Yeah.
you mentioned, hey, you know, being able to now be consistent in putting yourself out there and creating a profile online, and
Yeah.
and now, you know, even to the point where, yeah, you're endorsed by multiple, you know, companies and are working with different brands and things of that nature. So, you know, I think your story is so inspiring, Desarae, and I think what you're doing, even in this moment and for the community. Is anyone getting anything from Desarae? We've got hand claps and everything going on. So thank you all, and thank you, Desarae, again, for just being a part of this journey. We're not done yet, so there's a little bit more in store, but I did want to just say that because we really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I think there was a very interesting question here,
Okay.
and it's kind of pulling on my heartstrings a little bit because, you know, my wife and I, we have 4 wonderful children, and I have 3 girls. And so this question is, how do you encourage your little girl to pursue music? If you can share how incredible your music journey has been, which you just did, but the question was, how do you encourage a young girl to pursue music? What's that encouragement like?
Well, how you encourage them is you got to show them
Right,
that there are women like them that are doing what they want to do.
right.
And me as a young 6-year-old,
Yeah.
and even before that, because my parents discovered that I had a musical talent at the age of 3.
Wow.
And I didn't take lessons until I was 6.
Wow.
But imagine being a 6-year-old and going to a music school and being taught by people that don't even look like you.
Right.
So you can't even, there's no connection there.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay, I'm being taught by people who don't look like me,
Right.
but also they're kind of brushing me off to the side because I don't think I'm capable.
Right.
And I'll tell you about one teacher that I had, my first teacher at this music school. It was this tall, nerdy guy with glasses.
Okay.
And I had a lesson with him, and he gave me a piece of sheet music, and he said, here you go, play it.
Right.
And I sat there, and I was like, you're supposed to teach me.
Yeah.
What
So
are you
hold
doing?"
on. Day one? That was
Day one.
No way.
Day one. Oh, yeah.
No way.
Day one.
Okay.
And after the lesson, he went up to my dad, and he told my dad this, and I will never forget this. I don't think this is for your daughter. You should get her to do something else.
Wow. Day one.
Day one. He said, I don't think she is cut out for music. You need to get her to do something else.
Oh my goodness.
And
At 6.
At 6, well, I was 8 at this point.
Okay, wow.
But, and I had some years of lessons before.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that you didn't even try with me.
Yeah.
Or maybe he saw something and was like, maybe he, and this is the thing where people probably see your gift before you even see it. And they're like, oh, I'm not even going to deal with it. But he literally flat out told my dad, this is not for her. Get her to do something else.
And yet here you are, Desarae. Man.
I wonder if he's still around.
He's probably on the live stream right now. He's like,
I wonder if he's still around, you know? And all the other teachers, I wonder if they're still around.
You know
but
what?
It's just, I never saw myself. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to be the representation.
And that's so inspiring because even though you were so young and you had that encounter that was very negative and, you know, they definitely, why would you even do that? But the fact, right. But the fact that you now took that and have turned it into, I'm not going to say motivation because I know there's a lot more behind what you do, but you used it as a platform or a springboard to say, I'm going to move past this and I'm not going to let people like that stop me. I think it's such a powerful, powerful story. So thank you for that, Desarae. And you know what? Sometimes when people are faced with adversity, you know, we can shrink a bit, we can turn away from it, but in your case, man, what a giant. You decided, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to let this stop me, even from a young age. And to see now that you're carving paths that have not been walked before. It's an amazing story.
And to answer that person's question, like there's so many, I'm so excited because I'm seeing so many more Black women musicians.
Right.
Popping up.
Right.
And you have to show your younger daughters and nieces and sisters that, hey, this is possible because all these Black women are doing all these amazing things. Like I have a friend in LA, Kyla Wright, amazing bass player. She's killing it right now. She just went on tour with a couple of people.
Okay,
and she was on Tiny Desk.
She's
killing
it.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And then there's another guitar player that I know as well. And there's female drummers. Like we're
everywhere.
arising and coming out of the ashes just killing it. And it's nice to see because our younger, you know, Black girls are seeing this and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like her.
There's space
and I want to just be like her. There's space.
Absolutely.
And it took people like me and other people to bring these spaces because they were never there.
Man, we appreciate the work that you're doing. As I said, I've got 3 little ones myself, and you know this is absolutely part of what we need to see.
Yeah.
Listen, there was another question that had come up. You know, how do you gain confidence in terms of what you do? That's a very interesting question, but I'm just going to ask it as it has come up.
How did I gain confidence?
Yeah.
Well, there once was a time when I wasn't confident in myself.
Okay.
Especially when it came to just taking lessons and even being told, you're not cut out for this.
Right.
I was like,
right. Yeah, what's that going to do for your confidence, right?
And I'm not even going to lie, like it kind of hurt.
Of course.
You know, and my dad is the musician, so my dad was just like, "Stop this guy. This guy's an idiot."
With an H.
Yes, right. But in that moment, I actually wanted to just be like, I don't want to do this, and I never even wanted to do this from the jump.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
My parents were like, "Yeah, no, you don't have a choice.
Okay.
This is what happens when you grow up in a Jamaican household.
Yeah,
like, you
okay.
don't have a choice.
Right,
You
okay.
do it.
Yeah.
There's no yes or no. It's yes.
Yes. Okay.
If you guys,
Right.
anybody out there who
Yup,
comes
yup,
from a
yup.
background like that,
Okay,
you know what
I
I'm
got
talking
you.
about.
Yup.
Right? But in order for me to gain confidence, I first had to believe in myself.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to gain confidence if you don't even believe in your own self.
Right,
How are
right.
you going to gain confidence if you are speaking negative about yourself
Good
and
point.
putting yourself down and saying, oh, I can't do this, or I
Right.
can't do that, or I can't play as good as this person, I can't play as good as that person. You're already
Right.
putting yourself down. You're already not being confident by being negative.
Right. Absolutely.
So there's this factor of you have to believe in yourself.
Right.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe
That's
in
right.
you.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's how you really gain confidence, is saying, like, I'm capable of doing this.
Absolutely.
I'm capable of playing the piano.
Absolutely.
I may not be as good as everybody else, but I'm going to learn everything that I need to do, and I'm going to study, and I'm going to, be inspired by this person, and I'm going to get help from this person.
Absolutely.
And over time, you will gain that confidence. But
I
it first starts with you believing that you can do it.
It's so inspiring, Desiree, because even a lot of keyboard players, they don't look at themselves as artists. And I think the fact that you've created an example for that, not just keyboard players, but musicians, to say the music that I create is a composition and I'm an artist. And like flipping because, oftentimes, and there's nothing wrong with, playing for artists and vocalists in that sense and, whatever the case may be. But the fact that, hey, there's space for the music that we create through our instruments. And it's enough without anything else. And I think that's a powerful path that you're paving.
Yeah, there doesn't have to be lyrics. Because, like I say all the time, you have the vocalists. They tell their story through lyrics.
Right.
The musicians tell their music through melodies and chord patterns and chord
Absolutely.
structures. And everybody has a story to tell. It's just a matter of, do you want to share your story?
Right.
I'm choosing just to share my story through instrumentation and producing and, just everything that I do.
Absolutely.
So it's really a matter of, are you ready to share that story with the world?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And for folks that are in the room, we're getting right towards the end here. Desiree is going to be performing us sort of as our close. But are there any other questions? I know there's some folks online that have been coming, but anyone in the room want to come forth with their questions? Now would be a great time before we sort of, call it a day. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead. If you have, no? No, I thought, okay, awesome. All good, folks. Well, Desiree, we've been enjoying you, man. I feel like this is such a great class, like beyond even neo souls and some of the cool voicings we've been learning. We're also getting such an inspiring story to help uplift us and just keep us going. And so that's been great, and thank you. And so tell us about this last sort of song that you've prepared. And because I know with you, you don't just play music. There's always a message. There's always meaning. So I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So this last song that I'm going to play for you is called Late Arrival Remix. This song is a remake of the original Late Arrival, which comes from my debut project 20, which I released in 2016. This song I released 2016.
That's
8 years ago.
8 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been on a journey.
First project.
Yeah.
I know, right? I did a remake in 2021 to celebrate the project's 5-year anniversary. And Late Arrival is basically saying that it's never too late to start. Okay? No matter how old you are, no matter what stage you are in your life, you can reignite that passion. You can reignite that thing that you've always wanted to do. And it doesn't matter how old or what point you are in your life.
Right.
Yeah, it might have been late. The saying, better late than never.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
At least he did it. And at least he started.
Absolutely.
So that's the
I love that.
premise behind that.
Y'all, let's give it up for Desiree as she gets ready to perform for us one more time. Desarae, what a great performance, and thank you so much for sharing your sound with us. Just all the great advice. I did promise someone online I didn't want to miss any questions.
Okay.
And so I just want to squeeze this one in. They were talking about an audio interface. I think the question was, what audio interface are we using or is being displayed?
Oh.
I'm wondering if they're talking about the program, because the question is, and I'll read it.
No, I think they're
Yeah.
talking about. Okay, so you know how I use this at home because I
Yeah.
have an audio interface.
Okay.
So all the sounds that I'm playing, I think they're probably wondering where that's coming
Yeah,
from.
maybe they can clarify as
So
well.
I use an audio interface. There's different interfaces that you can use. I personally use a live streaming mixer
Right.
from Yamaha.
Awesome.
But before that, I was using Focusrite, so Scarlett Focusrite.
Okay.
And there are two different ways you can do this.
Right.
So earlier on, we were talking about MIDI
Right. Yeah.
and not having access to certain sounds.
Right. Yeah.
And using a MIDI to USB cable, plugging it into your digital audio workstation and using the sounds
Right.
from there.
Yep.
Now, I get this question all the time because people ask me, oh, are you using stock sounds or are
Right.
you using a VST?
Right.
And I'm like, no, I'm using all the sounds from my piano. How are you getting the sounds from your piano into the computer?
Right.
So the only way for you to do that is to use an interface.
Got you.
And you're going to plug in your left and right into your audio interface. Your audio interface is then going to go into your computer.
Right.
And then you have to go into the settings and set your audio so that the audio is going from inside the audio interface in and out.
Got you.
So
got you.
that's how you can get all of your direct sounds from the keyboard
Right. Yep.
into your system.
Got you.
Versus MIDI where you're using the stock sounds.
Right. Right.
So everything that I'm doing, everything that we're doing, all the sounds I'm playing, nothing is from a digital audio workstation. It's straight from the keyboard, and we obviously have to plug into audio interfaces in order for that
Got you. Awesome.
to happen.
And,
Yeah.
and thanks for that. So now we have a really clear explanation on how you can record and get your sound from your keyboard or using sounds on the computer.
Yeah.
And just in case they were asking about the program on the screen, I'm not sure, but just
Maybe.
in case, it's
Yeah.
Chordy. It's Chordy app. Just in case if folks are wondering how
They're seeing the
they're
chords
seeing
and
the chords
everything.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's still using MIDI. Interestingly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right. But thanks for that. And I don't know if there are any other questions. If not, we're just, oh, yeah, go ahead, please, right to the mic.
Right to the end.
It's all good.
Hi.
Question about the audio interface. Is it a software sort of thing or it's Hardware? to the keyboard or
So it's an extra device. Do you guys have an example of one here?
we do somewhere here, but I don't know if
Yeah.
we have one handy. But yeah,
Yeah, so it's a separate
box. Yeah.
that you can use, and it has it has a plugin, it has instrument plugin, it has a vocal plugin, and then it has a headphone plugin, depending on which one you're getting. And then on the back side of it, you'll have a MIDI to USB type cord.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Or I forgot what that box
Yeah.
thing is called, and that will go directly into your computer. And then you're going to go into your DAW, your digital. So if you're using GarageBand or Logic Pro, and you're going to go to settings, going to go to audio settings, and you're going to change the audio settings to having the sounds go from that audio interface, so in and out.
Right.
So it's a separate thing that you have to buy
Yeah.
and then have it connect from your piano to the audio interface and then into the computer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know he was asking if it's integrated. There are certain
They-
pianos, I think, that have
Yeah,
some. But yeah,
some of
it's-
them, yeah. I mean, this piano here, everybody asks about it.
Yeah,
so I might
absolutely.
as well talk about it. So this is a Yamaha CK88. This came out last year in April,
Okay.
and I love this board.
Yeah.
It is great.
Yeah.
Which board do you have that has built-in speakers?
Right. Good point. Yeah.
So this has built-in speakers.
Mm-hmm.
It also has Bluetooth capabilities.
Amazing.
So
yeah.
I can connect my phone to this.
That's nice.
I can charge my phone in this.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you are a busker,
Okay.
this runs on batteries.
Wow, that's cool.
So,
That's cool.
or if you go to a wedding and they don't have any power, just buy some AA batteries
There you
and
go.
put them inside here, and you can use it.
That's actually really cool.
In addition, this is a really user-friendly board. All the sounds are literally right here: piano, e-piano, organ. Most boards, you kind of have to figure it out, or you have to go through all these confusing menus to get to this sound and then go into this sound. I don't like confusion.
Yeah.
And the spirit of confusion is the enemy. So, I just like when things are easy, and it's easy for me to find things, because say, for example, I'm on a gig and I need a particular sound. I don't have time to be going through and finding all these sounds, but also you can program the sounds into this board, right? You see all these are all the numbers here. So there's different numbers, and I have different presets.
Got you.
Sounds.
Yeah.
And if you also see, there's 3 different volumes here.
Yep.
So I have a sound programmed in each one of these. So I can have all 3 sounds playing at the same time.
Right.
If I don't want all 3, I can turn it off.
Easy.
Turn it
quick.
off.
Yeah.
And just have one.
Wow.
And I can preset everything, store it
Right.
into each one of these. So
Amazing.
if I'm on a gig and I want to use number 4 has all the sounds that I need. If I want to turn off the sounds during a performance, if I don't need to use all 3, I just press off.
Awesome.
Off.
No, that's
Now,
great.
this retails at, I believe, $1,900, which is pretty very good price
for what you're getting.
For what you're getting, because most top of the line boards can't do what this board does. And they also have the smaller version, the 61 key, which I believe is $1,200. But I'm sure you can get it at a better rate.
Amazing. Such great features, almost like a 21st century type keyboard, it feels, with all the Bluetooth and bells and whistles and integration and all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
Super cool. Just making sure there's no other questions. One thing we always do at the end, folks, and please, if you can help us share with this, that'd be great. We always like to end off with telling people, firstly, a little bit about who we are, because I know sometimes people are like, Joel, we're seeing these master classes and we're seeing these events, and how can we support? How can we get involved? So we are a nonprofit organization, and we do very much so depend on the support of our community. And so if you enjoy sessions like this, enjoy people like Desarae coming on, and you'd love to see more and more, we just want folks to know where they can go and support SoundCheck. So I know we have on our website, www.soundcheckyouth.com. You can go there. And right on our website, there's a big donate button. You can get involved. And also one thing I tell people, and maybe we can even get it up here on the screen, we have an impact page. And we talk about all of the things that we've done over, because some people may not know this. SoundCheck has been around for over 10 years right now. And so thank you. Yeah, we're super excited. And over that period of time, there's been a tremendous amount of impact. We've reached nearly 1,000 young people, which is still mind-boggling to me when I think about it. There's been a ton of artists that have come through our doors, a ton of performance opportunities, so much great impact in such a short amount of time, relatively speaking. And so, of course, if you want to get involved, you believe in this work, you believe in empowering and creating a new sound of change and leadership in our community, you can help and be a part of that. And so we just wanted to invite folks to that, because we do know that it comes up. In addition, I think we have this up here on the screen. We want folks to go over here and share your feedback with us, because one of the ways you can help us, and it doesn't cost you anything, is to literally let us know how this session is going. Was it helpful for you? Did you enjoy it? Did you learn something? And even in just sharing your feedback, believe you me, it makes a huge impact in terms of us being able to share that information as to why we need to continue doing programs like this. Does that sound all right, everyone? So awesome. So we'd love for you, if you haven't already, I know some folks have their phones out and all that things, please just take a quick photo of that on the screen. And I think we even have one for the website as well that we can probably get up for folks as well. So yeah, just take a minute out. I know I got my phone here. I'm going to make sure it works right before I'm telling everyone to to do it. But I'm sure it does, so not to worry. Yeah, I got mine right there, y'all. There we go. So you should be able to get right to it as well. But thank you all for coming on out. We really appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of this. And just before we close, the last question I'll ask for is if anyone wants to share just what this experience was like today, feel free, open up, the mic's open. Let us know. It could be in a couple words. One of the things that I find helpful is this image of a rose. Everyone know what a rose looks like? So a rose has a lot of different components, right? It's got the flower on top, right? Beautiful rose, right? So for you, the rose might be something that was super great. Like, man, this is really what I took away from today. This was great. That was the rose for me, right? That was the flower. That was the, the big moment, right? Then if you think about a rose, it's got a stem, right? And you think about how long that stem could be. Maybe that stem is growing. And maybe there was something today that just really helped you to grow and level up. As a part of that stem, guess what else we have? Got some thorns sometimes, right? And maybe there are some things, some hiccups, some things that we could be doing a bit better, maybe shouldn't do again, that kind of thing. So you can share that feedback as well. And then lastly, as we work our way down, we have the roots of the rose. And that, of course, what are those things that are just going to kind of keep you grounded, stick with you, and something that you're going to think about for a long time. So if anyone has that type of feedback, we'd love to hear from you. If not, we'll kind of call it a day. Anyone else?
No
All right,
pressure.
super solid. Well, I know I did see some phones coming up, so hopefully we'll get some folks on that. But Desarae, to you, I just want to say thank you once more. Thanks for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing so openly. Thank you for your amazing performances, and thank you for just being a part of this wonderful, wonderful platform. So we thank you. We appreciate you, and with that, we just say thanks to our audience, all those folks that have been tuning in from all over the world at this point. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being a part. Good night, everyone, and blessings to you all. Take care.